Somewhere behind that soft little smile you offer the world when everything hurts, there is a presence in you that isn't suffering at all and is just quietly watching the whole show. We spend so much of our lives desperately trying to fix the drama of our personality, while the soul sits in the back row eating popcorn, whispering, "Beloved, this is only a movie." At the moment when you are sure you are the most separate, the most broken, the most unlovable, that is often the precise moment when grace sneaks in through the crack. The guru, the suffering, the failed relationships, the political outrage, the traffic jam, the diagnosis, they all arrive as volunteers to show you where you're still holding on. When you start to watch your pain instead of being your pain, suffering turns from a punishment into a teacher with very kind eyes. The more you try to be spiritual and improve your little me, the more hilarious it becomes to notice that love was already here long before your self-improvement project. In the marketplace and at the protest and in the hospital corridor, you discover that you can act to relieve suffering and still see God sitting inside everyone's eyes. Maharajji, or whatever you call that mysterious presence, keeps using your most embarrassing moments as telegrams that read, "Wake up, sweetheart, you are the one." At some point, the soft smile behind all your suffering stops being a technique and becomes the way the universe is smiling through you at itself. And finally, when you are tired enough of being somebody, you relax back into the one who has been here the whole time, holding your heart as gently as the sky holds every cloud. So here we are, you and I, sitting together in this peculiar little moment of eternity. You may be listening to this in your kitchen or in your car or in bed with the covers pulled up just under your nose, the way a sea hill does when they want to feel safe. And maybe your life on the surface is a bit of a mess right now, or a lot of a mess. Maybe you are tired in that deep way that sleep cannot solve. Maybe your body hurts. Maybe your heart is in pieces on the floor. And yet if you notice very quietly, there is also this other thing, this faint, almost secret softness, a tiny, almost invisible smile somewhere behind your eyes, behind all the stories about what's going wrong and who did what and how it should be. I want you to feel that one. Not the big forced smile you put on at the office or for your family photographs. Not the "I'm fine, really it's no big deal" smile. I mean the one that isn't trying to convince anybody of anything. The one that's just there, like the light of a candle in a dark room. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to deserve it. It's older than your history. It's older than your name. It's older than your suffering. For most of my life, like most of us, I was busy polishing the costume. You know the one. The personality, the credentials, the history. Here I am, my resume. Please love me. And behind that, the quieter desperation. Please tell me I am real. Please tell me I exist. Please tell me I matter. I studied, I achieved, I failed, I tried to look together when inside I felt anything but together. That's the human curriculum. And built into that curriculum is this peculiar thing called suffering. It shows up as embarrassment, shame, loss, grief, fear, anger, loneliness. It shows up when your plans don't work, when your body doesn't cooperate, when the people you count on walk away or die, when you realize the world is not arranged around your preferences. Now, from one angle, that's all just bad news. Thank you very much, universe, I'll pass. But there is another angle, a softer one. There is a way in which every single one of those moments, those burning, aching, lonely moments, is a little bell ringing to wake you from a very long dream. The dream that you are only this body, only this mind, only this story. The dream that you are separate, the dream that you are alone. I think of it as God's very strange teaching method. If you were totally identified with your ego, with your role, with your little drama, and everything went perfectly, how would you ever suspect there was anything more? You'd be like a character in a play who never sees the audience. You would live and die as the role. The suffering is when the script doesn't go the way your character wants. And somewhere behind the stage, something whispers, "Beloved, you are not only this role. Step back. Look." At first, we don't like that whisper. We want the play to go our way. We want the loved one not to leave. We want the body not to hurt. We want society to behave according to our view of justice. We want our spiritual life to be neat and tidy, and when it isn't, we clench, we resist. And then, if we're a little spiritually sophisticated, we even feel guilty about suffering. Oh no, I shouldn't be upset. I'm supposed to be enlightened by now. That's the ego in a spiritual costume, polishing its badges. Look at me, so non-attached, so equanimous. There's my ego again, adjusting its halo. The funny thing is, the moment you begin to see that, the moment you notice, there I go, suffering my suffering, believing my movie, a tiny bit of space opens. In that space, there is the possibility of another identity. Not I am a failure, not I am a success, not I am a victim, not I am a hero, but simply I am. Just that, I am. The awareness in which the whole drama rises and falls. Awareness is like the sky. Your thoughts, feelings, and experiences are the clouds. Some days the clouds are fluffy and white. Some days they are thick and dark and stormy. Some days the whole sky seems overcast. But the sky is never actually harmed by the weather. And the sky doesn't prefer one cloud to another. It just holds them all. That soft smile behind your suffering is the sky peeking through the clouds. There was a period in my life when my suffering was so front and center that I thought that was all there was. I was tangled up in my own history, my neuroses, my desires to be seen as good, kind, wise, politically engaged, spiritually advanced, psychologically sound, a full catastrophe of identities. And then I met this being, this fat, old, blanket-wrapped man in the foothills of the Himalayas, who laughed at my whole predicament as if it were the sweetest little joke, not cruelly, not dismissively, just with love, as if to say, sweetheart, you are making this so complicated. Maharajji didn't give me a list of 10 steps to a peaceful life. He didn't fix my neurosis. He didn't explain the universe. He just loved me. He loved me in the places I thought were unlovable. He loved the frightened little boy, the arrogant professor, the confused seeker. He loved it all. And in the presence of that love, my suffering started to feel wearable, not gone, not magically healed, but no longer the enemy, more like a strange pet that had followed me home. There was one day I was sitting near him, stewing in my own self-consciousness. You know that feeling when you're sure everyone can see how flawed you are? I was thinking a whole symphony of thoughts. Am I doing this right? Does he think I'm spiritual enough? Am I worthy of this? And he looked over, eyes twinkling, and said nothing at all. He just smiled. And it felt like the smile was reaching back through lifetimes of self-judgment, as if he were silently saying, "Ah, beloved, there you go again, worrying about your costume. Come home." Being with him, I began to taste that the one who is suffering and the one who is watching the suffering are not the same. The personality suffers. The awareness beholds. The little me gets frightened, angry, lonely, ashamed. The soul sits patiently saying, yes, try that one too. See where it leads you. When you shift your seat from the personality to the soul, suffering changes flavor. It is no longer just my disaster. It becomes part of the journey back to the one. Now, I don't want to romanticize suffering. It hurts. The loss of a child, the breaking of a marriage, the betrayal of a friend, the cruelty of the world. These things cut deep. They are not to be bypassed with a spiritual slogan. It's all perfect, said too soon can be violent. But there is a paradox. It is all perfect, and it hurts like hell. Both are true. The perfection is not in the content of the experience, but in the possibility it carries, the possibility of the heart breaking open instead of just breaking. I remember once being at a protest, standing with others to speak out against weapons that could erase entire cities in a moment. There we were, with our banners and our chants, our righteous anger and our fear. It felt very serious. And it was serious. People's lives were on the line. But inside myself, I could see two levels running at once. On one level, we must stop this. This is terrible. This is unjust. On another, quieter level, look at us. These little bundles of consciousness in raincoats and boots, waving cardboard signs in the vastness of the cosmos. I could feel my own ego in that, my desire to be one of the good guys. I am on the right side of history. I am a compassionate activist. And then, if I soften my grip on that identity just a little, I could feel something else. A tenderness for everyone in that scene. The protesters, the police, the men in suits sitting in offices making decisions they could barely understand the karmic weight of. All of us acting out our roles in the dream. In that tenderness, the enemy vanished. Not in the sense that I stopped acting. I still marched, I still spoke, but it was different. The action became an offering rather than a war. Karma yoga, acting without the actor. You can stand in front of a fence topped with barbed wire shouting for justice and still know in your heart that the guard on the other side is also God in disguise. When you know that, you weep differently. Your anger burns cleaner. Your compassion goes both ways. You are no longer trying to fix the world so you can finally be okay. You are being okay, and from that okayness, you serve. The soft smile behind all the suffering is what lets you do that. It is the smile of the one playing all the parts. This is the paradox of service. On the one hand, there is unbearable suffering on this plane. You do not turn away from it. Your humanity demands that you respond. You feed the hungry, comfort the grieving, fight for justice, build better systems. On the other hand, from the perspective of the one, nothing is broken. No soul is ever truly lost. The game is already complete. If you serve only from the human level, you burn out. You become bitter, self-righteous. If you cling only to the cosmic level, you become cold, detached, useless. The path is to stand with one foot in form and one foot in formlessness. To let your actions be moved by love, not by fear. To do that, you have to practice being the witness, not as an escape, but as a home base. You begin very simply. You sit quietly and you watch your breath. In, out, thoughts come. This is boring. This hurts. I'm not doing it right. Ah, there I go again. You notice the thought. You don't wrestle with it. You don't push it away. You just see it as weather passing through the sky of your awareness. The thought is not you. The feeling is not you. The pain in your knee is not you. It is all happening in you, but you are larger than all of it. Then life, being the excellent teacher that it is, gives you opportunities to test this. Someone criticizes you, and you feel that familiar tightness in your chest. How dare they? Or, I'm worthless. For a moment you are lost in it. Then you remember, oh right, the witness. You step back inside yourself and watch the surge of feeling. You notice the impulse to defend or collapse. And in that noticing, the soft smile appears again. Ah, beloved, look how seriously you take your story. The feeling is still there, but it is held. It is cradled in awareness. You do not abandon yourself, and you do not abandon the other. Relationships are fertile ground for this. Lovers, friends, family, but they are all gurus in disguise, poking the places where you are still attached. You think you are entering a relationship to get love, to fix an emptiness, but very often the relationship is there to reveal the emptiness you've been trying to hide. If I can get you to love me in the right way, then I will finally feel okay. This is the deal the ego tries to make. And of course, no one can carry that weight. So they fail you, or you fail them, or both. The script falls apart. The suffering arrives. In that moment, you can close down. You can decide never to trust again. You can blame them, blame yourself, blame God. Or you can turn toward the pain and ask, what are you showing me? You might discover an old child inside who learned that love is conditional, that the smallest mistake will lead to abandonment. You might find a belief that you are fundamentally unworthy. When that child, that belief, is seen from the seat of awareness, it begins to soften. You can hold your own heart the way a good guru would, with patience, humor, and a refusal to buy your most frightened stories. Sometimes Maharajji would say very simple things like, love everyone, serve everyone, remember God. We'd immediately try to make a philosophy out of it. Okay, love everyone, that means I have to feel affection for everyone I meet. Serve everyone, that means I must never say no. Remember God, that means I must have only holy thoughts. And we'd tie ourselves in knots trying to live up to our idea of what that meant. Meanwhile, he'd be tossing fruit at us and giggling with children. The love he spoke of wasn't a sentimental feeling. It was recognizing the same self in all beings. When you look at another person and you see their pain, their fear, their longing, and you recognize it as your own, something very quiet happens. The distance shrinks. You do not have to like their behavior. You may still need to set boundaries, but you no longer see them as fundamentally other. The soft smile behind your suffering looks out through your eyes and says, "Ah, there I am again, in another form, trying to find my way home." The guru, you see, is a mirror, not an authority to worship blindly, but a mirror that shows you your own divinity and your own nonsense. Sometimes the reflection is tender. "Look how beautiful you are, child of God." Sometimes it's rough. "Look at this nonsense you keep repeating." Life itself is that guru. Every situation, every person reflects back to you where you are identified and where you are free. When you are caught in your ego, the world seems full of enemies and obstacles. When you rest as awareness, the same world becomes a field of teachers. It can be very embarrassing. You think you're doing quite well on the path. You've been meditating diligently, eating your vegetables, perhaps even saying wise things to your friends. And then life arranges a little test. Someone cuts you off in traffic, or your plans fall through, or your ex appears on your doorstep, and suddenly you are not a radiant being of light, you are a snarling animal. In those moments, if you can add just the tiniest bit of humor, you're saved. Ah, there we are, so much for my enlightenment. That humor is not self-hatred, it's the soul chuckling at the ego's pretensions. I used to joke, "Why do you have a guru?" Bad luck, I guess. Because once grace gets its hooks in you, you can't really go back to sleep fully. You can try. You can binge on distractions, throw yourself into work, into relationships, into ideologies. You can insist that you are just your story. But somewhere in you is the memory of that soft smile, of that spaciousness where everything is allowed to be just what it is. And life will keep steering you back to it, sometimes gently, sometimes with what feels like a cosmic 2x4. When your body fails you, when you get older, when pain becomes a frequent visitor, this teaching comes very close. The body is a marvelous, fragile thing. It gives us so many pleasures, so many possibilities. And then, as it does for all of us, it begins to wear out. The ego takes this very personally. How could this happen to me? As if anyone has ever gotten out alive. The soul, on the other hand, sees the body as a temporary temple, a beautiful instrument that will one day be set down. As the body suffers, the invitation deepens. Can you find the one in you who is aware of the pain but not consumed by it? The one who is not afraid because it was never born and will never die? That one does not belong to any religion. It does not have a gender or an age. It is pure presence. When you glimpse that, even for a moment, the fear around suffering loosens a bit. The pain may still be there. The loss is still real, but it happens in a larger space. That is what I mean by the soft smile behind all your suffering. It is not a denial. It is not a spiritual grin pasted over a breaking heart. It is the expression of the one in you, watching the whole show of your life with infinite compassion, the one that never says you should be different, the one that never turns away, the one that stayed with you in your darkest night, even when you were sure you were utterly alone. To live from that place is a gradual, messy process. It's not a switch you flip. You will forget again and again. You will get lost in your roles, in your dramas, in your righteousness and despair. And then something, a bird on a branch, a child's laughter, a line of scripture, a memory of your guru's eyes, a sudden silence in the middle of your crying will remind you, oh, right, I am not just this. And in that remembering, the breath deepens, the shoulders drop, the jaw unclenches, the heart, bruised and tender, opens a fraction of an inch more. Take a moment now, if you like. Just feel the place in your body where the suffering knots itself up. It might be your chest, your stomach, your throat. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to argue with it. Just bring your awareness to it like a gentle hand. Breathe into that place. Let your awareness be soft, like warm water poured over a tight fist. You don't force the fist to open. You just keep bathing it in warmth. Little by little it may relax, or it may not today. Either way, the awareness itself is already free. Around that knot, there is so much space. Around the story, there is silence. Around your desperate questions, why is this happening? How will this end? What should I do? There is a vastness that holds both the questions and the not knowing. If you listen closely, that vastness is humming a very simple song. You are loved, you are held, you are not alone. And you begin to smile, not because your problem is solved, not because you have achieved some mystical state, but because you can feel just faintly that you belong to something larger than your fear, that your suffering is not a punishment, but part of a mysterious unfolding that is carrying you home. The smile may come with tears. That's all right. The heart knows how to laugh and cry at the same time. You may find over time that this soft smile starts to meet the world. The stranger on the bus, the difficult colleague, the angry protester, the sick neighbor. You find yourself looking at them with new eyes. You see their suffering and you do what you can to help. But you also see the light behind their eyes, the same light that you have discovered in yourself. You start to feel less like me over here, you over there, and more like we. The boundaries blur. The sense of separation softens. You still live your life. You still play your roles. You are still a parent, a worker, a friend, a citizen. You still vote. You still march. You still sit by hospital beds. You still pay bills. But something fundamental has shifted. You are no longer asking the world to validate your existence. You are no longer using other people as mirrors in which to admire or condemn yourself. You are resting more often in the being that simply is and letting action arise from there. When you forget, and you will, you can always come back to the simplest practice. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Feel the contact of your feet with the ground, your seat with the chair, your hands resting where they are. Listen to the sounds around you. Let them come and go. Notice the thoughts that say, this is not enough. Smile at them, be kind to them, and then underneath them sense that quiet, subtle presence like a friend who has been sitting beside you patiently, waiting for you to remember. In the end, all the teachings, all the practices, all the gurus and books and satsangs are pointing you back to that friend, to the one who is both absolutely intimate and utterly vast, the one who has always known you in every incarnation, in every joy and every grief, the one who is right here, right now, listening with you. Let yourself lean into that presence for a moment. Let the part of you that is tired, frightened, ashamed, or lonely be held. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be wise or strong. You can be exactly as you are, broken and whole, lost and found, human and divine. The soft smile behind all your suffering is simply the way that presence looks when it peeks through your human eyes. Just be here, now. Feel the breath, feel the heart, feel the space around it all. Nothing to fix, nothing to become. Only this loving awareness.